to know that not all roses in the world have thorns. Some have large thorns, some have small thorns, and some have no thorns at all. And the roses that do not have thorns have been bred specifically so that they will not have thorns. The process of growing those roses is different than the process of growing roses with thorns. But what we've got to understand is that on a rose, even those painful, disgusting stems on their thorns on their stems, those thorns hold a great significance. Those thorns are used for something great for those roses. Can I tell you why? Thorns serve as protection. I said thorns serve as protection for the roses. Protection of what, you may ask? Protection from rodents, from animals that try to steal it and eat it. Imagine if some animal would come and try to bite a rose. They would get stabbed very quickly with one of those painful thorns. They are also protected from humans, because if roses had no thorns, humans would not hesitate on smelling, touching, and picking these beautiful roses. So the thorns hold a significant job on roses. Roses would not be able to grow as hardy and beautiful as they are without the thorns on their stem. Can I say that again? I said roses would not be able to grow as hardy and beautiful as they are if they did not have their stems. Thorns, thank you. The Apostle Paul had a thorn. People say this is literal. But for some reason, I feel it's more of a spiritual thorn. Because the devil was always after the Apostle Paul. Demon spirits were always after the Apostle Paul. And I believe it hurt so much that the Apostle Paul explained it as a thorn in his flesh. The Bible says that the Apostle Paul asked God 3 times to take away this thorn. But all 3 times, the Lord had the same answer for the Apostle Paul. He said unto him, my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. The Apostle Paul may have not understood the Word of God, because sometimes in life we go through mess. We go through pain to where it feels like a literal thorn, I'll say it right if I can, thorn in the flesh. Sometimes we're so troubled that it feels like we have a thorn on our side. It feels like we even have multiple thorns on our side. But God, Apostle Paul asked God 3 times, Lord, please take it away. I can't take the pain much longer. I can't take the agony much longer. I can't take this pain from these thorns in my side. But God told Paul, he said, Paul, don't worry about the thorns, because my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. What is God trying to tell the Apostle Paul? What he's trying to tell the Apostle Paul is, even when you're weak, I said, even when you're weak, even when you're weary, even when you feel like you can't take one more step, when you're weak, I can be strong. But we've got to understand that in our lives, God cannot be strong until we become weak. Can I say it again? I said, God cannot be strong in our lives until we are made weak. Because as human beings, we like being the big dog. Am I preaching to anybody yet? We like being the big shot. We like being Mr. Nacho. I said that wrong, didn't I? Mr. Macho Man. We like to be buff and strong, and can't nobody tell us anything. And that's the reason why God cannot show you his power, because he can't be strong until you realize that you're weak. I said, he can't be strong until you realize that you're weak. It don't matter how many weights you lift. It don't matter how many steroids you take. It don't matter how many antibiotics you shoot up. When you're weak, God is strong. And I came to tell you, it's time that the church acknowledges that it's weak. What? I said, it's time the church acknowledges that it's weak. Amen. We don't have power by ourselves. We don't have ability by ourselves. We don't have the willingness by ourselves. It only takes the mighty hand of God to sustain us in the middle. Let me tell you something. The world is looking at the church right now and expecting the church to go down. The world is looking at the church right now, expecting it to give up and throw in the towel. But when a church realizes that by myself I cannot do it, and when it realizes that it's weak, God steps into the church and he shows the world, this church, Cornerstone Apostolic Church, devil, you can't put a finger on them. You can't lay a lie because they're weak, but I'm strong. I said they're weak. God acknowledges that we're weak. God acknowledges that we're weenies. God acknowledges that we're chickens. But he acknowledges it because he knows that on that Sunday morning when he stepped out of the grave, he knows that he stepped out with all power, with all authority, with all dominion over every demon spirit. God has all power. He said, when I am weak, God makes me strong. Even when I got a thorn in my flesh, when I am weak. Have you ever been stabbed before? I wasn't expecting that. Have you ever been stabbed before? I can actually. Somebody stabbed me over there before. I won't tell the story. Man, you think it's a saint, but watch out. I'm kidding. But I imagine it hurts. I can imagine it really weakens one's body. Getting that knife and going through tissue, going through skin, going through arteries. That sounds painful to me. So imagine the Apostle Paul. How weak he felt. How unstable he felt. With that spiritual thorn in his flesh. I don't know, but I could imagine that when you're stabbed, you're knocked to your knees. Am I right? Can you stand? I don't know, but I imagine that if you get stabbed or you get poked with something that really hurts, it knocks you down a little bit. It gets you a little weak because it hurts. So imagine the apostle. The Bible doesn't say how many years he lasted with that thorn in his flesh, but imagine the pain and the agony that he was going through. Every day he woke up, he probably didn't even get to sleep at night because of the pain he was going through. Oh, but the Apostle Paul, after he had this encounter with the Word of God, he realized and he accepted such a prophetic revelation, such a lesson of his life. He realized that in my pain, in my infirmity, in my agony, the Lord is my strength. The Lord is the one that keeps me going. The Lord is the one that puts strength in my legs when my legs want to give out. The Lord is the one that gives me strength in my back when my back wants to give out. The Lord is the one that gives me the strength when my arms want to go out. The Lord is the one that there are some mornings where I really don't want to get out of bed. I feel like life is just messed up. I feel like the world is just evil and disgusting. But the Lord rises up and he says, son, daughter, you're not going yet. You still have a job. You still have a mission. Don't say you want to die. You won't die when God tells you to die. We still got work to do. Turn to somebody in your row and say, we still got work to do. I still got work to do. We still got things to build. We still got things to clean. And most importantly, we still have souls to save. Oh, so many churches right now are getting depressed with this virus. I understand it's bad. I understand it's killing people. But what the church needs to understand is that this is a great opportunity for us. I said, this is a great opportunity for us. Why, you may ask? I will tell you why. The world has no hope. I wish I would get better responses here this afternoon. Maybe I need to go preach this at Lakewood Church with Brother Joel Osteen with multitude. I'm kidding. I just need somebody to make noise and help me preach here. Because I feel like God is speaking right now. Where was I at? Y'all made me lose my concentration. Where was I at? Jesus. Anybody help me? I lost it.
The world has no hope.
We still, the churches, thank you, the churches. Don't get on. The churches are seeing this as something negative. Something to where we feel like there's no hope. And I told you that the world has no hope. This world has no hope. I will say it again. I want everybody to hear me. This world has no hope. The United States of America has no hope. We're not coming back from this. Well, I'm not going to say we. I said they are not going to come back from this. The United States is going to fall from here. Mark my words. The world is going to fall from here. But do not get the world confused with the church.
That's right. Amen. Amen.
I said, do not get the world confused with the church. Because while they're going down, the church needs to show the world that even in the midst of COVID-19, the church is still going up, level after level after God. Even when they closed our doors, even when we weren't congregating together, what the devil didn't understand is the church was still going higher. The church was still increasing. Devil, you can't stop the church. I said, you can't stop the church. You can put whatever you want to put on us. You can put a pandemic in our world, but we'll look at that pandemic and say, Mr. Pandemic, we rebuke you in the... You can't touch my family. You can't touch my children. You can't touch... My God, somebody get on your feet right now. You can't take them. You can't take them. Why? I know they may be in the world. I know they may be doing their thing. But many years ago, I put them in God's hands. And when you put somebody in God, the devil can't touch them.
Yes. Hallelujah. Thank you, Lord.
Devil can't touch them. Because who the person in God's hands, the children that are in God's hands, the devil can't put. There's a song that I believe a brother, if I'm not mistaken, Milton Turner used to sing. He used to say, Satan, get your hands off of me. You know why? I want to make it clear. You ain't got no power here. So Satan, you best take your hands off of me, off of my family, off of my children, off of my house. Satan, you better take your hands off of me.
Yes. Hallelujah.
The Apostle Paul made it clear that he understood that even in my weakness, even in my infirmities, even in my persecutions, God is strong.
Amen.
Apostle Paul was trying to tell the world that we're one day going to read his word. Don't be fooled by my calling. Don't be fooled by my ministry. I have thorns too.
Amen.
Don't be fooled by the healings and miracles that happen with these hands. Because I got thorns too. Don't be fooled by the power of my hands. Don't be fooled by the times that my handkerchief healed the sick. Because I got thorns too. Don't be fooled by the times that when I walked by a sick person, my shadow healed them. Don't be fooled, honey. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know the thorns that I have in my flesh. And I came to tell the world today, don't be fooled by the church. I said, don't be fooled by the church. We have thorns too. Don't be fooled by a child of God, because we have thorns too. Don't be fooled by a preacher, because we got thorns too. Don't be fooled by a pastor, because he has thorns too. Don't be fooled by what we're doing. We have thorns too. But just like the roses, our thorns are needed in life. One person said that without the thorns on the rose's stem, roses would be weak. Because any time an animal would have went up to a rose that did not have a thorn, that animal would snatch that rose and eat it all up. Is anybody with me? Let me tell you something. In life, there are people that all they want to do is snatch you.
That's it. That's it. Amen.
There are people in this world that all they want to do is destroy you. There are people in this world that all they want to do is see you fail. But if you have a thorn,
Amen. Hallelujah.
I said, but if you have a thorn, you show them that, hey, this ain't my first rodeo. I've been through the fire before. I've been tried before. I've been tested before. Don't be fooled by my beauty. Don't be fooled by my significance. Because, honey, I got thorns. And if you get too close to me, you know what's going to happen? You're going to get poked.
Hallelujah.
Oh, somebody ain't understanding this. You're going to get pulled. If you come up to me wanting to destroy me, wanting to kill me, wanting to see me fail, my thorns will activate.
Hallelujah.
I said my thorns will activate, because let me tell you something. Our thorns should not always be out. Because there are some people that are going to come up to you that are going to need help, that are going to need guidance, that are going to need love. So our thorns have to be put away. But there are also some people that we've got to realize that are not good people. I heard somebody say a while back during this quarantine, they said, you know, there's some people that even after this quarantine, you need to stay away from.
Yep, that's good. That's good. Amen.
I will say it again. You know how we're locked up in the house. We're really not going out, going to people's houses, hanging around people like we used to. And he said, that brother said, after this quarantine, you really need to analyze your life. Because even when we get opened up, there are some people you need to avoid. There are some people you need to stay away from. Why? Because there are people in this world that will never change, and they will always want to hurt a child of God.
Hallelujah.
Brother, you're supposed to be loving. You're supposed to love everybody. You're supposed to be like God. I do love everybody. But at the same time, you got to realize that not everybody wants to love you.
Yeah, that's good. Amen.
I said, not everybody wants to love you. You can show so much love to somebody, so much care to somebody, but if they don't want to love you back, they're not going to do it. So therefore, I'm telling you, I'm giving you permission to drop some friends. I'm giving you permission to drop some people that you used to hang out with. Because if we want to continue to grow, even after this pandemic, we got to realize that we got to change our circle. The Apostle Paul, throughout his lifetime, he was hit with so many people that told him, Mr. Paul, didn't you used to be that old man? Didn't you used to persecute the Christian? Didn't you used to be a sinner? All those people trying to get Paul down, trying to get Paul distressed, trying to get Paul to give up. But Paul realized that he had to do something about his circle. I can't have people with me that all they want to do is see me like this. Do you know any people like that? Oh, when you're like this, they don't talk to you. But when you're like this, they're all upon you. They're all upon you, trying to get you even lower to the floor. Let me tell you something. There are people that before this pandemic, they were getting on fire for God. They were really trying to get into church. But the moment the church is closed down, the moment they begin to slide just a little down, I'm preaching now. The moment they begin to get a little down in their spirit, right away, those people ran to them. And they said, you don't need church. You don't need to congregate with anybody. You don't need them. You don't need the pastor. You don't need the church. And then by the time you know it, they're all the way on the floor.
Yeah, that's true. Amen.
But I said, but they will not stay down.
Yes, hallelujah.
Not because of me, not because of our pastor, not because of you here, but if they were to just realize that even when they're on the floor, there's only one thing they need to do. I wish somebody would come to church. I said there's only one thing they need to do. Don't call on Brother Jayden. Don't call on Pastor Hernandez. Don't call on a saint in a church. Oh, but there's one name we can call on. At 5 o'clock in the morning, when everybody else is asleep, when everybody else put their phone away, there's one name. I said there's one name that we can call on in the midnight You don't gotta call Muhammad. You don't gotta call Buddha. You don't gotta call Confucius. But there's one. My God, I feel the Holy Ghost. There's one name that's above every. I said every. Does anybody know the name? I said, does anybody know the name? Oh, this name, even in the midst of a pandemic, the name of Jesus still has power. Let me tell you something. Everybody's afraid of the word coronavirus. Everybody's afraid of the word COVID-19. But let me tell you something, coronavirus. Let me tell you something, COVID-19. There's a name you need to be afraid of. Get on your feet, I'm done. There's a name you need to be afraid of. COVID-19, there's a name you need to be afraid of. Don't be afraid of Jayden. Don't be afraid of Liz. Don't be afraid of Amateur. Don't be afraid of Brother George. Oh, but there's one name that when I say this name, when I say this name, you know what happens? COVID-19 has to bow. When I say this wonderful name, COVID-19 has to bow. Why? Because at the mention of his name, every knee, I said every knee shall bow, every tongue shall confess that Jesus Christ, I said Jesus Christ is Lord of
What's his name? Jesus. No other name. No other name. Let me read your scripture and I'll go right with what he's saying tonight. Let me read this scripture to help you boost yourself up today. Everybody still here? Micah chapter 7 verse 8. Rejoice not against me, O my enemy. When I fall, I shall arise. When I sit in darkness, the Lord shall be a light unto me. Unto me, amen. No matter how dark it looks, no matter what it looks like, He's a light. Él es la luz de tu vida. En esta tarde, amen. Ahí donde está, hermanos, tenemos en esta tarde unos anuncios que vamos a hacer. Amén. Y queremos darle al Señor. Pero vamos a cantar un canto antes de irnos. Let's sing a song. Amén. Y vamos a levantar las manos. Ahí donde estás. Levanta las manos unos momentos. Y dale gracias al Señor por esta palabra tan fuerte, esta palabra tan maravillosa. Give God some glory right now. Thank you. Thank you for that wonderful name that we can call on right now. Thank you for His presence in this place right now. Thank you for that move of you. Thank Him right now because He's a shield that will protect your home. He'll protect your family. Él quiere proteger tu hogar, tu familia, tus hijos. Pero hay que clamar, dijo Jeremías, clama a mí.